everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We're so excited to go over this topic, the topic of how to price your social media services and handle pricing objections. Pricing has always been something that people have always told us is a pain point for them. So we're really excited to go over this today. And Ketsia is an expert on this category. So we are going to go over a lot of stuff today. But before we get into it, I do have a question for everyone. So if you're an agency or a freelancer, are you happy with the current rate you're charging your clients? Let me know in the chat. Are you happy with what you're charging, or are you looking to maybe fix some of your rates? So let me know in the chat. Hi, Madison. Hunter is so excited. He's been waiting for this. Love it.
We're going to face our fears together, guys.
Yes.
This is a, how do you say? It's not taboo, but it's kind of like something that we all have our own experience approaching it. So I feel like we can learn together. We're by no means experts. Definitely have our own lived experiences. And Ketsia is going to be vulnerable in this session to showcase what she's learned. So if this goes well, guys, we're looking for a part 2 as well, and that's totally fair game. We're open to doing a part 2.
Awesome. So we have a couple people who are looking to start freelancing, so this will be really helpful for you. Some people feel like they're under.
Nice. Hey, Madison. I saw Madison on LinkedIn. She said she was going to be here, so that's great to see you here. Welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Those comments are so cool, like seeing that people are saying like we're not charging enough after this. I hope you will charge your worth.
We hope you find all of this advice helpful. Great. Well, continue sharing in the chat, and I'm going to go over a few housekeeping items. So in case you are new here and this is your first webinar, we are HeyOrca. We do webinars every Thursday, and we are a social media scheduler your team will actually love. So if you have never heard of us before, I can put our website in the chat here. You can learn more about us. We actually just revamped our website, so definitely take a look.
And if we have any HeyOrca pod members here, if you can say, what was your aha moment in choosing HeyOrca over all the other tools that you could have gone for? That would be really awesome to learn from you as well. And Ketsia is actually a new HeyOrca user. She just joined our team like 3 weeks ago, so I'm sure she has some thoughts as well.
Yeah. Awesome. And we can introduce ourselves. So if this is your first webinar, welcome. We're so excited to have you. My name is Alyssa, and I'm a community manager here at HeyOrca. So I work on our webinars, our newsletter, and our other online communities. And I can pass it over to Joe.
Hey everyone, I'm Joe. I'm the Chief Executive Orca, as I call myself, of HeyOrca, and I work regularly with Ketsia and Alyssa with our community side of things, and also very closely with our product team. So Thursday is always a highlight for me to get to know you guys more and to really learn more about the ins and outs of social media and being a social media manager. I was a social media freelancer in my past life, so really glad and excited to dive right into this topic as well.
Hello, everyone. I am Ketsia, and I am the social media community manager here at HeyOrca. I recently joined, actually, and I've been loving coming here every Thursday, talking to everyone. I actually was a freelancer in terms of social media management. Now I just, do fun projects sometimes. But yeah, I love working here, and I make all the social posts, and sometimes I host webinars like this one. So that's me.
Awesome. Yes, we're so excited to have Ketsia a part of the team. And I see some comments about our customer care team being so great. They are so great. If you've ever spoken to them, they're so helpful. So I'll definitely let them know about these shout outs. And if you need closed captions for this webinar, there are a few ways you can turn that on. So if you're using Chrome, you can go to your browser settings, and at the bottom of the setting page, it will say accessibility. So you can turn it on there. Or if you're using a Mac, you can go into your system settings and turn on captions as well. And then also we do upload our recordings onto YouTube, so there will be closed captions there as well. And of course, we're on social. So if you want to follow us on social, definitely do it. It's at HeyOrca. We're stepping up our TikTok game. So I'm going to send our TikTok account here in the chat because Ketsia has really stepped it up for us. So definitely check out the videos we have been creating. And we also have a newsletter as well. So we have a newsletter that goes out every Monday to Friday where we highlight different social news, free resources, webinars. We just yesterday put out a bunch of CapCut templates, so super helpful, lots of tactical topics. So definitely check that out if you haven't already, and I'll put the link for that here. Or actually, Ketsia already did it. Thank you. So definitely join our newsletter community if you haven't. And we also have a Facebook group. We're almost at 5,000 members. So if you're not a part of our group, definitely check it out. We're almost there. So I'll put the link for that in the chat as well. But it's filled with social media managers from around the world, and we talk about social updates. If you need advice on anything, it's a really great place to go as well. So I just put the link for that there. And of course, we love to do giveaways. So there's 2 different giveaways, so 2 different things you could be winning today. The first one is an $15 Amazon gift card. So if you want to win this gift card, all you have to do is participate in the chat. So let us know your thoughts. If you have any questions, any comments during the presentation, pop them in the chat there, and I will be doing a random generator at the end and choosing a winner. And next, this giveaway is for our HeyOrca customers in the chat. So you could win some points to our merch store where you can redeem either a hat or also a t-shirt. So if you're a HeyOrca customer, I'll grab some of your comments from earlier in the chat when Joe asked you about your aha moment with HeyOrca. So if you're a customer, continue sharing those aha moments in the chat, and I'm going to grab your names and we'll do a random generator for that at the end as well. And we do have webinars every week. So we do have one next week on Canva. So we're going to be talking all about Canva Pro tips and hacks. This is always a really popular webinar. I think we've done these twice before, and it's always super fun, and we learn so much. There's so many hacks in Canva, so it's going to be a good one. All right. So before we get into it, I think I'm going to pass it over to Joe because I think he has something to show us.
Yeah, so for HeyOrca customers out here, I want to show you 2 things that we released today that I'm very excited about. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and let me know once you're able to see my screen. Give me a sec here. Cool. You guys able to see my screen? All right, awesome. So I'm not going to take too much time because I know we're going to be needing all the time that we have to talk about pricing, but I'm very excited about this one. The first one is drag and drop. So we updated, we shipped an update this morning where you're able to drag media files into your calendar, and right away it creates social posts for you. So that eliminates around maybe 3 or 4 clicks that you need to do. So before that, you'll have to click upload, click your file, and so forth. And with HeyOrca, HeyOrca's drag and drop, now you're able to do that right from here and just select the social channels that you want. So let's say if I want to do it for Instagram, I can do that and then create posts. Now you have all your images in your video just created just by one click, right? So now I have a carousel and I'm able to then work on my captions. So really exciting update. Let us know if you have tried it already. So we're really excited to have launched this morning. The other one that we just shipped is in our report section. So if you are a pro customer, we shipped an update that will actually give you a sense of how a visual breakdown of how you're doing compared to your competitors. So over here, it will show sort of like how you're doing and how the industry as a whole is doing. So everyone's actually gaining followers in the past 3 months. You can see that on average, the industry is gaining 3.6K followers. Later does a really great job. I think they're an inspiration for us. They gained 10,000 followers in the last 3 months. So that's really awesome to see for them. And then we also break down in terms of what people are posting. So this is really great if, let's say, you're finding inspo, you're trying to find inspo for people in your industry, what they're posting about. HeyOrca now breaks down visually what the content mix look like. So right now, as you can see here, HeyOrca, we're really big fans of Carousel, and I think Ketsia is going to up our video game as well. So hopefully the purple bar will go up. And you can see that later is pretty more, they actually don't post a lot of Carousel. They do a lot of videos in single image. Buffer is a little bit more balanced in that sense. Agora posts don't really post that much. They actually only post 15 times over the last three months, which is really interesting. And then over here, you're able to see all the top posts from yourself and also your competitors or for your inspiration. And one thing here is that you can actually ask HeyOrca. Let me just expand my screen. You can ask HeyOrca to show you top 12 posts. So instead of just seeing the top 3, you can actually go to the filter and say, show me all of the posts from the competitors and myself. And HeyOrca is going to pull that right here. So you can see the Barbie meme was our top performing post in the last 3 months. But then I can scroll down and look at what actually worked for Buffer and get inspo from that. And I can also see what worked for Agora posts and later. You get the idea. So later's posts, for example, their reels are doing really well. And I can actually just play it from HeyOrca. So instead of having to scroll through my inspiration pages, I can just track them in HeyOrca in Pro and able to see everything here. And so we're doing a lot more updates to Pro. And just want to give a shout out to the entire pod, the entire HeyOrca community for helping us constantly iterate on this. So hopefully that helps. If you have Pro, try it out. If you don't have Pro, let me know and we'll hook you up with a trial of Pro. And I'll send it back over to Alyssa. And let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll continue to answer them in the chat section.
Awesome. And yes, everyone is super pumped about the drag and drop. Everyone was very happy about that. So thank you, everyone. We love to see how excited you all get for these new features. So I will share my screen here. Yes, so we'll get right into it. And before I pass it over to Ketsia, today we are going to be going over pricing mentality, structure, and objections, and then also how to present your pricing. So lots to go over today. So I will pass it to Ketsia.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. So yeah, I want to get into pricing mentality. I think we kind of agreed that that was very important to kind of have a little bit of a disclaimer because pricing is so subjective. Joe sent over this article by Carl, and he has like a whole agency pricing philosophy that I feel like we needed to share. But one of the philosophies, there's like 5 different philosophies, but one of them is perception. So someone can charge like, $1,000 and someone can charge $100,000. And, it depends for who it is like expensive for, right? Like some people have a budget for $100,000, some have a budget for like $1,000. Like, it's a matter of perception, like how much you charge. Also, like it's also value anchoring, like value based. So how much value can your client attribute to your pricing or to your service can also determine the price. Packaging counts, which means that your presentation and the way that your whole client experience is very important when factoring into pricing as well. Like you can't be super organized and then be like, okay, this is like an extreme amount of money, but you're not organized, you're not really delivering. At the end of the day, it's just business. Like pricing has nothing to do like with your character or like whatever. It is just business. And pricing is also a matter of confidence. So I always tell my friends or whoever, because I love talking about pricing and pricing yourself as a freelancer, is that there's people who are less talented than you. I mean, and that's again subjective, that have the confidence to put themselves out there and ask for a certain price. And then there's people who maybe like you have imposter syndrome and you're like, okay, no, I can't charge this much because I don't think I'm good enough. And so you're charging way less. I'm not sure if anyone ever felt this whole little imposter syndrome and undercharging themselves, but that's definitely like one of them that I wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I think what's important is that there is no right or wrong way in that sense.
Mhm.
But hopefully, this part one of the pricing conversation is to open up sort of like some structured way of thinking about pricing. And our hope is that you can leave this with one thing that you can implement in your next pricing discussion with your team or with your clients.
Exactly. So,
Sometimes it's not the best person that gets the biggest compensation. I've seen that before because we
mhm,
hire agencies as well. It's the people that are able to articulate their value, are able to package it better, ever able to create a better working relationship. Those are things that we look for when we're actually hiring an agency.
exactly. So honestly, and having worked at agencies, I've seen that too. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, you guys are doing it like this, and it's like not the best way personally, but they still get, high ticket prices or like they get the best deal. So yeah, it's not a one size fits all. I think that's how you say it. Sorry if I butchered that. So we also have different types of pricing, right? So we're just going to go over them like really quickly, just to kind of explain like how you can price your services. Again, it's not, you can't just like be like, okay, for every single thing you're going to price it that way, but it's a great guideline to have. We also have a resource for that where we put all of that in a document, and we also put in the pros and the cons of these pricing structures. So I think the most popular one is hourly rate. I feel like most people start that way, start with an hourly rate. It usually works well when you're doing ongoing tasks, right? Like content creation or sometimes social media management or even responding to messages. I feel like more admin type roles are really good for like hourly rates. Some people charge a flat fee per project, right? It's pretty specific and well defined. I feel like when you do flat fees, you have to know every single hour or like every single minute that you're going to put into it, and you've already had like a workflow going on. Some people do monthly retainers. So it's mainly for ongoing projects and maintenance. I know that some people who do, for example, like web design, they have like monthly retainers to update the website every single month. And, they offer monthly retainers. I see that some people like Rachel said like they do monthly retainers. So yeah, I feel like that's also a really popular one. There's also performance based pricing. And that's not something that I'm completely familiar with, but I feel like it's mainly on sales. I've seen that. So, where you get like a commission or whatever based on the performance of whatever it is that you do. I know that ads also is very big in the performance based pricing, where they get, a percentage off of. Whatever they sell or like e-commerce or ads or whatever it is. So that's also another model.
Yeah, just
Um,
talking about the pricing structure here, I think it comes down to as well the risk that your clients want to take and the predictability of it. So, for example, if things are not predictable, you don't really know how many hours you're going to be working with this person, what this is going to look like. Hourly works really well. This is great for like it says here, ad hoc, ongoing. If let's say you know exactly like what Katsia says, like you know exactly what's going to go in, how much time you're going to spend, then I find like flat fee and monthly retainers really great because you're able to forecast your cash flow for the next time. Performance based is awesome if your clients are very risk adverse. Then what you do is you charge, and you are able to then you are able to draw a line. ROAS is sort of what people always say, right? If you can prove a return on investment on ad spend or return on investment, then you would charge, let's say, a 10% on every sale. Every 10% of sale goes to you. because you're taking all of the risks and they're taking down the risk upfront. And so you want to have like an unlimited potential when it comes to pricing that kind of project. But you want to be confident that you're able to drive those results, and you're okay that you're taking all the risks at first in return for a higher upside in the future. So there are different ways of actually thinking about pricing.
Exactly. And Madison was asking, what do you differentiate between pay on a project basis versus a monthly retainer? And I think like with monthly retainer, like obviously it's every single month. With a flat fee, like I feel like the timeline can vary a lot. I'm so sorry if you hear people screaming. They love performing here, so I'm so sorry. But yeah, with a flat fee per project, like the project can take like a day, or it can take 3 weeks, or it can take like 4 months. But with a monthly retainer, okay, every single month this is going to be like a reoccurring.
If there's a start and end date, then flat fee, right? So it's a campaign, or it's something that there's going to be an end date. Monthly retainers would be, let's say, ongoing social media management, ongoing ad management. So that would be really great for a monthly retainer. If your clients don't want to take that risk, performance-based is good. If we're just starting out, we don't really know how this is going to look like, hourly makes sense. Again, at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong answer. It depends on what the client is comfortable with, and really working with different tools in your toolbox, so that you're not just like a monthly retainer kind of agency. If you really want to work with this client, but you don't really know what it's going to look like, start with hourly and go from there.
Yes, exactly.
Micah has a question, Katya, if we want to take some questions. Micah's question is, how do you set a price if you have been working with the company for a while and you have to step away? So they ask you to freelance and you're getting a salary, but you're actually now working only on one aspect instead of several. I can provide my 2 cents, Katya.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'll pass it to you. I think it goes back to value anchoring. So going back to the pricing philosophy. So if I ask you guys $100 an hour, is that expensive? Compared to what, right? It's always anchoring your value to something. So there are different ways to anchor your value. One way to anchor your value, which is I think the best way, is that if you can prove a return on investment, right? So if you can say, like, if you pay me, $50 and I bring in one sale, that's already going to cover everything per hour that you're going to be paying me. That's value anchoring on a performance-based basis. Another way of value anchoring is basically the time that they're going to spend, and value anchoring to their personal hours. So if I'm not doing it, how much do you value your own time per hour? And then, really anchoring, and I'm able to do it better and faster, and you anchor it based on that. And that's sort of like give you a range in terms of what you want to charge. And then the other question is, how much do you want to make? And I think that's the subjective thing, right? So how much do you want to make, and be able to confidently articulate that number, and don't let, I guess, like your reaction sort of like, I guess you got to keep a poker face too. That's the thing about like pricing, is trying to confidently see how people are exploring this or reacting to your pricing. But I think like anchoring is really important, and seeing if you can anchor them to performance, that's the best thing, I think. That way you'll be able to justify the price point that you're wanting to charge.
Oh, yes, exactly. So yeah, again, value. You need to like showcase that you have value, and the client needs to see your value as well, which is like really important. And I don't know, I don't think I can add anything like better than what you just said.
Yeah, just remember anchoring. I think that's a
Yeah.
really big aha moment when I was freelancing and running my own agency. Even now, it's that people need a reference point. If you don't give them a reference point, or they'll reference you to a competitor, they'll reference you to maybe their own like family members, right? You want to give them a reference point in terms of like how to see this. And then when you're pricing your packaging as well, your packaging in itself is also a reference point as an anchor as well. That's why you see pricing pages have like, let's say 3 columns, like, starter, basic, standard, right? And that's all acting as a anchor, so that you'll be able to choose which one's more suitable and compare that to the other price points that are around you on the pricing page. Hope that helps. I know it's a little bit long, but I think like the concept of anchoring, that's really important.
Yeah, you can really like change your entire like the entire experience for sure. It was also an aha moment for me as well. But I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that we cover the entire presentation. But because we still have like other types of pricing. Again, you were talking about, like, different tiers. Well, there's tiered pricing as well, where you can, showcase like varying budgets and packages and kind of have that kind of system. I feel like a lot of social media managers, when they do start, like they go away from like the hourly, they go into tiered packaging. I feel like that's like kind of like a stepping stone as well. Again, value-based pricing, but then you need to be very good at like value anchoring in order to do value-based pricing, right? There's people who are so good at it that you see on Instagram every single day, maybe, that they're like professionals. I'm so sorry, I'm talking louder to be over the music. Um, but they're really good at it, and that's why they're able to charge those high ticket pricing, because they are really good at value anchoring, right? Um, and then we also have like package pricing, right? So that's when you like bundle up multiple like services or like whatever. And sometimes you get, most of the time you do receive like a discount and stuff, but you're getting more value out of it. So that's also like a really great way to do it. And then you also have like consulting or training sessions, which, I mean, again, people do it differently. Some people charge like by the hour, some people do like, like again, packages for that, and have a little bit of a, what's it called, like kind of a teaching moment, like it's like sessions, but it's like 6 weeks, for example. So there's like different ways to go about it. And then, sorry, just showing the last one, is hybrid pricing. So you can have like different aspects. I feel like after some time you start kind of taking things, sometimes it's hourly, sometimes it's this, like depending on like what you want to do. But it's kind of mixing and matching different types of pricing. And Alyssa shared the structure in the resource, so you can go in depth and really read through them yourself and see which ones that you're interested in, right? I don't know if Joe, you wanted to add anything to this.
No, I think those are really great. So these are just like toolbox, right? That's something that we talk about. It's like a structured way to think about pricing. There's no one right answer, but it depends on your business, how much you want to make, what makes sense for your type of work, and also the clients that you're going for. Maybe we can take a couple questions here.
Yeah, sounds good.
Haley's question is, my agency struggles to move legacy or long-term clients up to our current monthly rate. Tips. That's a really, I think, a popular question that everyone has in your mind.
Yeah.
Ketsia, do you have any tips for Haley?
Yes, I think one of the, again, an aha moment that I had personally is like, okay, like if you want to increase your prices, and again, you need to be good at value anchoring. Like, what is that increased pricing going to give them? Like, what are they getting more out of? And that's why you can't give premium services at a low price, because then they're just going to be like, yeah, but I'm already getting all of those services at this price. Why would I, upgrade? So you need to take something away. You know what I mean? You can be like, okay, like it's fine if you don't want to upgrade, but I won't be able to offer XYZ under that rate. It would only be available under, this new rate, right? So you need to take something away in order to show value in like the upgraded package. That's kind of how I kind of work, but I don't know.
That's really great. So I think, again, going back to anchoring. So if you guys walk away, I think anchoring is a really key concept here, because if with no anchor, there's no reference point, right? That's why it's so important. So in Katsia's example, that's really great, which is like, okay, the anchor is my new price, right? So this is the new price now. If you want to still continue to work with a client, and you need to be willing to walk away, this is the other thing as well.
Exactly.
If you really want to move your price point. So there's always going to be a risk, right? There's no like 0% risk when you're actually doing like a price increase conversation. But you move the anchor over here. And then if you want to keep the client, there are a couple ways you can do it. Like Ketsia says, I can still keep you at a grandfathered rate, but I will need to relook at our package. Which one would I still want to work with you? Let's look at maybe how we can be creative about it. All right. But you can still move them up the anchor or pricing scale by saying, you know what? My new clients are now paying $2,000 a month, and we're sitting at $1,000, which is totally great, because I really appreciate our partnership. But, I would still keep you at a preferential price at $1,500. You're still getting everything that people would have paid $2,500 for. And right now they're referring the new anchor price that you're giving them. So I think like thinking about that allows you to gradually move them up. And you want to give them advance notice as well. I think like people need time to process as well. So if you know you're going to make that move, you want to give them that notice, in 3 months' time, this is sort of like what we're doing. And this is the additional value that you're getting as part of this deal as well. So hopefully that helps.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can take away or you can add, and then you use your new price as an anchor.
Exactly. That's like a really good one as well. And I want to obviously show you guys kind of like my kind of framework with that and like with pricing and all that stuff. But I think it's also really important the reason why it's important to have, structured pricing. I mean, at least for me, from my opinion, again, I'm not the end all be all, but I think it's really good for like predictability, right? Knowing, okay, this is how much I'm going to make, or this is how many clients I need to have to get to this kind of number. Like it's just very predictable. It's really good. It's also good to know in terms of marketing. Like if you, for example, are going to be someone who works with like smaller businesses with lower budgets, you're going to market yourself differently than someone who's going to work with like, higher ticket clients with big corporations and all that stuff, right? Like, because in order to attract those clients, you need to like obviously market yourself to those clients. It also changes like your perceived value, I think. I mean, at least in my opinion. So, like some people, they're really good. I mean, their pricing, right? Whatever the price is, people feel like it's worth the price, right? You can be like, yeah, this is worth the price, or people might be like, oh, this is way too expensive, like whatever it is. But whatever you do choose to do, like it does affect like your perceived value, like of your services. And then at the same time, it's also really good, again, like I said, like your ideal client, like knowing, okay, this is my ideal client. You need to also know like their budget. Like if your ideal client is like Kylie Jenner, you're going to have a different budget than if your ideal client is like a bakery from down the street, right? But you can still like offer like social media management, but you're probably going to charge Kylie Jenner way more than a bakery down the street. So I think that's really important to also have as well, like to just kind of understand. And I have like a kind of a resource that I use, kind of a model to kind of see all the things that I need to factor into my pricing and things that I personally kind of forgot when I first started freelancing. So I'm going to show it with you, and Alyssa is going to share it like in the chat as well. Let me try and share my screen here. This is like my first time sharing my screen, so I hope it's working. Okay, so I know it looks a little bit like, okay, what is this? But I'm going to explain it. So whatever the title of the service that you have, I have like social media management, right? Because that's kind of, let's say that's the service that we want to offer. I'm assuming we're all kind of in the social media marketing kind of, industry. So what I do is like we're talking about tier systems. This is not something that I show my clients specifically, but this is really to hold myself accountable and knowing how to price myself, right? So I need to know like, okay, within social media management, what are things that play into it, right? So obviously there's account management. So you need to know like, okay, how many accounts are you going to be managing under like each tier, right? We're kind of treating it like Netflix, like how they have like different subscription models. Like what are the accounts that you're going to manage? And then you can obviously like think it off, or like, okay, no, you're not going to manage those, because obviously each platform has a different kind of work flow, and like some are more intense than others. Let's say TikTok, like filming and editing is like a lot more than like, for example, posting a tweet, right? How many posts are you going to post a month? Again, that can vary, right? But I think having a certain number helped me, because, for example, if I, had like 12 posts a month and the client was like, oh, hey, like I would like to add like X additional amount of posts, I knew like, okay, I would charge them extra for like extra posts because it's in between those two tiers, right? And then just knowing how much time and how much stuff are you going to do. community management as well. Like how many hours are you going to spend each week, each month? Are you going to like spend time optimizing all that stuff? And the reason why I'm adding those sections is because when you work at an agency, you have to track your hours, and time is money, right? So all those things that I'm putting into are things that are going to take time. And if you're going to spend like let's say you're asking like, I don't know, like $10 for a month or something, and you're spending all this time doing optimization and doing new strategies and doing all that stuff, like that's going to be a lot of time, and those $10 are going to be like 1 cent or like negative whatever really quickly. So it's really important to know. If you're an agency owner, it's really good to know which roles are going to be working on the account, because you need to like outsource that work as well, or you need to pay that person, and also knowing how many hours they're going to work on the account. Communication. Again, communication is time. So how much time are you willing to spend on each tier, right? Like, for example, like, are you going to do weekly calls, bi-weekly calls? Like, how are you going to do monthly analytics or weekly analytics? Those are all things that you need to factor in, because again, time is money. Like, how much time do you want to spend? And which tools are you going to use? Because the tools that you use cost money, right? Like, you need to pay every single month. Sometimes you need to pay per client. Like, how much are you going to spend? Like, for example, we have like HeyOrca, like our little social media management tool, but Notion, all those things, they cost money. So you need to factor that into your pricing. And then again, these are examples of like what you can charge, let's say like for each tier. But let's say, like I said before, like, like, okay, let's say like one client wants like weekly calls instead of like bi-weekly calls, then that you need to charge a little bit more. Not necessarily like the second tier, because they're not asking all the things from the second tier, but that you need to charge a little bit more, because those are like, I guess, starting prices and tiers and stuff like that. So I hope this makes sense for everyone. I can't see the comment section, but you guys can use this for yourself to create your own packages and your own things. I hope this helps and gives you a little bit more clarity in terms of structuring your packages and all the things that you need to factor in. And that will help a lot. And also don't forget taxes, because that's also like another another thing.
I was saying that it's important to split your tools out. Madison says tools. Yeah, like any tools that you're using that the clients, that's not like directly linked to your value that you're providing. So for example, if you have to pay for a HeyOrca calendar for your clients, it's important to actually mention that in the invoice. Like, this is what it is. Like, this is what we're purchasing. This is also important if you run ads as well. Don't put your ads and your service fee in the same invoice. It needs to be separated, or they should be paying through their own credit card. That way they're not conflating how much they're paying and the value that you're providing, if that makes sense.
Exactly. I don't know if there were like any questions regarding this whole thing, but yeah. That's
so you're adding that cost to them. You're talking about overhead costs. I guess you could say overhead costs. So any cost that's not related to like your services in particular, but it's actually, things that is needed to do the work. Sometimes agencies absorb that cost. It depends on your style. But sometimes I think like what's better is to actually just split it, so that we know exactly what this management fee look like and then what the tools look like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like, the way that I see it is kind of like I guess the onboarding cost. Like, how much does it take to like kind of onboard a client? So like, what are the tools that you're spending money on? So for example, if you need to have a separate email for that client, like some agencies do that, they have like a client specific email. That's maybe another $18, right? Like, if you need to like, I don't know, like get them a gift or like set up a Slack channel or do all those things, those are like all extra costs that kind of take into like the onboarding of a client that you will have to pay for. So you need to like put that in there as well. And that's why I have a section called tools, because I feel like we tend to kind of forget all those things. And also, like, I'm seeing that we have like 5 minutes left and still like a lot of slides, so I'm going to go quickly. But we did have like some questions for Instagram. If you guys want to, you can go to our Instagram stories and go and answer those questions. It's just like a poll. Our Instagram is at HeyOrca, but we were asking like, what is something you forgot to consider in your pricing after seeing, this, you know, breakdown? Like, what are things that you're like, okay, I never thought that I had to, or that I need to factor that into the pricing, right? So feel free to go in and vote on the poll, and we'll look back on it later. So we also have like a section called, common pricing objections from clients, right? Like, we all know like when they're like, oh, your prices are too high and like all that stuff, right? We have like a whole resource again explaining like each kind of common objection, as well as like a step-by-step approach, and then the sample answer that you can give them. But I think the main takeaway of all of these pricing objection is to always acknowledge and empathize with your client whenever they bring up an issue is really, really important, right? Like, don't like point fingers, just be like, okay, like, I'm sorry, I acknowledge what you're talking about. You can also always like clarify your value, or like clarify whatever. If, for example, you feel like, okay, like, you know I feel like this is justified, like always clarify, like, and re-explain to them like, okay, this is why this is being charged. Like, okay, I'm putting all of this time in there. And always give a solution, like always offer to accommodate or do something about it, even if it's something small. But it's always acknowledge that you're willing to kind of be flexible with their requests. So make sure to go and read that resource as well. I'm not going to go over them like specifically, just because we are short on time. But yeah, again, we have another poll question. But if you have ever dropped a client because they didn't pay you enough, please go vote on the Instagram stories. Again, we want to see what you guys have said. That could spark, like content for you guys, and make sure that we can, always create things that you guys love. So how can you present your pricing as, a freelancer or like an agency owner? These are like 3 different ways that I've done it before in the past, and I feel like works always. Is project proposal, right? You have a project proposal. I never, and that's me personally, I don't know how you did it, Joe, but I never talk about pricing like straight off the bat. I like to do value anchoring a lot through like storytelling, like tell me about you, and then provide solutions to their problems, and then create a project proposal with like, okay, this is what your problem is, this is the solution and what I think you should have. And then at the end you give like your pricing. And if you can showcase that you understand their problem and you can solve the problem that they have, at the end of the day, the price doesn't matter, because they're willing to pay anything at this point for someone to basically solve their problem, right? A capabilities deck is also really good. I've seen a lot of agencies create capabilities decks, have it on their website or like whatever, and it always kind of gives like a idea of the starting price of their projects. So that's another way to do it. And then some people just post it on their website. I think that when you post it openly on your website, it doesn't leave a lot of room for like negotiation, because people are going to be like, oh, you said it was this much, but then maybe you're working with like a big person, you're like, okay, I could have gotten more out of them, maybe, because obviously they're a bigger company and they're going to get way more return on investment. So yeah, that's why I said the tip is, if you focus on value-based pricing, don't lead with money. That's my personal tip. I'm not sure how you did it, Joe, but this is how I did it.
Yeah, 100%. I think value-based is the way to go. But maybe the thing is, like, you still want to consider the budget that perhaps that kind of client is working with, right? I think like everyone has some sort of a budget constraint at first, but once, I think what I agree is like once they see more value, then they will be more likely to keep investing in it, assuming they have the cash flow. Some businesses just like really cash strapped,
Exactly.
and sometimes maybe that's not the ideal client. If you're trying to go for high ticket items, you want to then really hone into like what's the client or what's the right stage for you to have that conversation with them.
Exactly. No, you're right. Obviously keep in mind budget, but also keep in mind like your own personal minimum that will keep your business like afloat as well. And just factor in all those things as well. So I think
And Levi just actually shared how they charge. And Levi, maybe we'll get you in part 3, because he's been sharing really great, awesome stuff. So thanks so much for sharing how you guys are pricing your agency structure as well.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that everyone is helping each other out in the comment section as well. That's one of the things that I love about those webinars. And yeah, now it was supposed to be a Q&A. We have like 15 seconds. So yeah, go for it. If we have like any questions in the chat that, we feel like.
Yeah, let us know. And if you want to see part 2, we can definitely like organize another one where we go deeper into maybe calculations, numbers, and some objections. But for now, let's do a draw. And I think it's been a really great like part 1. And thanks so much to Ketsia for really opening up her knowledge here.
Yes, thank you so much. This was awesome. I think we definitely need a part 2.
Yes.
There's so much more to chat about. So we'll definitely do that. I have been tracking names for the giveaway, so I'll do that now. Really quick, the polls are all on our Instagram if you want to put your input there. And after the polls, maybe I'll quickly, or after the giveaway, maybe I'll quickly give those results. But first, we'll do the Amazon gift card giveaway. So let me do the generator here. And the Amazon gift card winner is Leah Ross. So Leah Ross, you are the Amazon gift card winner. So I'll be reaching out to you after this webinar. And now for the merch. Our merch winner is Andrew Gowan. So Andrew Gowan, you are the HeyOrca merch winner. So I'll be reaching out to you as well right after the webinar. So congratulations, Leah and Andrew, on winning today. And let's quickly take a look at the poll. So for poll number 1, what have you forgotten in your pricing? It looks like we have a tie between cost of tools and scope creep. And then, have you ever dropped a client for not paying you enough? 100% says no. And then the last question we asked was, do you feel more confident about pricing after this webinar? And 100% have said yes. So I feel like that is definitely a win for today.
That's amazing.
All right. And I think we have a ton of questions as well. We'll be checking it after, and hopefully we'll be able to incorporate that in part 2. But really,
Yes.
This has been a really amazing session, and hopefully, this is something you can walk away and remember value anchoring and different types of pricing structure as well. So hopefully that adds to your toolkit. And Ketsia, thanks so much for walking us through your thought process.
No worries. It was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming, everyone.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And keep an eye out for part 2. I'm sure that will be coming sometime soon.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.